Today, we are continuing our exploration of the chakra system, and there are many chakras, but in Western society, we think of 7 specific chakras. Today, we are exploring the 7th one, but just as a little review for you, we talked originally about the root chakra that is located at the base of the spine. Sometimes it even goes all the way down to your feet. Its purpose is for grounding or settling. We also talked about the sacral chakra that is located at your sacrum, and it is for adapting or flowing, going with the flow of a situation. We talked about the solar plexus chakra, that's that space just under the sternum where you can activate your personal power. We talked about the heart chakra, which is all about being open, being unstruck. We talked about the throat chakra, which has a purpose of helping you learn how to uncover and speak your truths. And last week, we talked about the third eye chakra, which is all about exploring wisdom. And it's funny, as I talk about the 6th chakra and wisdom, you kind of think, what else is left, right? But the 7th chakra itself is located at the crown of the head, and it is actually about realization. So beyond wisdom is a place where you have a sense of realization. You could even perhaps call it spirituality. And there's a quote I want to read that I particularly like that relates to the 7th chakra, spirituality or realization. It is by T.S. Eliot. And T.S. Eliot says, "We shall not cease from exploration. And the end of all exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the very first time." And I just love that. I think of realization as some of those aha moments you've had, and we've all had them, right? You've all had little aha moments throughout your life. For me, recently, I had an aha moment as I'm learning how to play the piano. And I realized after years of tinkering with playing, finally getting a piano coach, a piano teacher, I realized if I used my fingers differently as I played the piano's keys, I could play without hesitation. And for me, that was an aha moment, because that little moment of realization allowed me to kind of move forward in leaps and bounds in my ability to play the piano. So the aha moment, that little aha that I've had, and perhaps you guys have had in your lives, is just a taste of the liberation that you can achieve through balancing the crown chakra. It is called Sahasrara, and in Sanskrit, that means thousandfold. So you can think of a 1,000-petaled lotus. It's pretty big, it's pretty enormous. It is a beautiful violet color, or sometimes white. And it has a really pretty sound to it, the sound of as in sing. And the crown chakra is kind of like, you can think of the crown of a king sitting on your head. It represents that ruling principle of life, that place where there is underlying order and the meaning of all things is ultimately perceived. So to find meaning in life is a universal urge, right? It is almost overwhelming in its magnitude. If you want to open the 7th chakra during your yoga practice today, one of the things you can do to help you access that and begin to understand it is define your physical body as you move through your practice as something sacred. The cool thing about that is if you define your physical body as something sacred as you move, you are going to treat it with extra care, with a little more attention. You're going to be mindful about how you move through poses, mindful about the way it feels, so that you're moving in a way that helps you open up, but you don't hurt yourself. You don't injure yourself for the longer term. And then what will happen is, perhaps as you remind yourself of the sacredness of your physical body as you move through your yoga practice, you can bring that sensation home with you as you invite a deeper awareness of the sacredness of your body in your daily life as you move throughout the day. So For today's practice, please come to a good seated position. Sit yourselves well in Sukhasana or Siddhasana. If you need to sit up on a block or a blanket, feel free to do that. And begin to settle yourself, growing long through the side body, long through the crown of the head. Take your shoulders up, back, and broaden them down the back. Tone the belly, lengthen the tailbone. Bring your hands together in front of your heart space and take a deep inhale in. And exhale, and if you'd like to press your palms together and set an intention for your practice, now is a good time to do that. I'm going to ask you to bring your hands into a Shiva Linga mudra. It looks like this. You're going to take your left palm at the space just under your sternum, and you're going to face the palm up. You're going to make a fist with your right hand, place it on top of the left palm, but keep that right thumb up, kind of like it's a candle. And you're letting the fist press into the palm press into the fist. So it's not just sitting there lax. There's a little bit of energy in it. And when you're ready with that Shiva Linga mudra, just begin to deepen your breathing, breathing in and out. And maybe use your sense of wisdom, your sense of sacredness of your body. Begin scanning through your body just to notice how you feel. Realization starts with mindfulness. Where are you now? Scan through your body, scan through your mind. Scan through your breathing. Let everything else go. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. You can release your hands on top of your thighs. Re-energize, shoulders up, back, and broaden. Tone your belly, lengthen your tailbone. And for your pranayama practice today, for breathing, yogi's choice. Most of you experienced yogis. So you choose the breathing that suits you well today. What do you need? Maybe it's the box breathing. Maybe it's Ujjayi breath, or just 3-part breathing. Perhaps you want to move through it, Nadi Shodhana. And if you're not sure, just start with deep breathing. Maybe making your exhales a little bit longer than your inhales. Breathing deep and full. Softening the skin on your face, your cheekbones, space between your eyebrows, your scalp. Maybe even soften that space at the crown of your head. Couple more breaths in and out. Anytime you get lost in your yoga practice today, just come back to breathing. You do not need my permission as we move through yoga practice today. If you need to take a child's pose or a downward facing dog or move into a position that suits you, you do that. I'll be here when you're ready to rejoin in the asana practice that I've prepared for you today. When you're ready, return to your normal free-flowing breath. Peep open your eyes, lift your chin. You can lean on back, and I'd like you to actually lay down on your mat with your belly facing the ground. You're going to lay supine, fully down. You're going to let your toes face out to opposite sides of the mat. Stack your forearms one on top of the other, and rest your forehead on top of the stacked forearms for crocodile pose. And while you're here, I'd like you to draw your attention back to your breath again. Just noticing with your normal breathing how your belly moves, where the breath is showing up in your full body. And then if you would, I'd like you to begin 3-part breathing. Breathing first in through your belly, And out through the belly. Then breathe in through the belly, but also expand the rib cage all around. And exhale and let that go. With 3-part breathing, you're going to breathe in through the belly, expand the rib cage all the way around, and even bring the breathing up under the collarbones to broaden your collarbones. And then let that go. And going at your own pace, please continue that 3-part breathing, breathing in and out. And just let the waves of breath open your awareness. Let the breath open you up from the crown of the head down to the soles of your feet as you turn inward. Just like the ocean coming in and rolling all the way from the crown of your head out through the soles of your feet. Take a few more breaths and then let that go. And when you're ready, please roll over to the other side. This time you are going to have your belly facing the sky. So you're rolling over on your back. Knees are bent, soles of the feet on the floor. You don't need your blanket yet. You don't need your blocks just yet. When you're ready, as you're lying on your back, please draw your knees in towards your chest. Just roll back and forth, opening up your sitting bones, your low back. You can roll your knees back and forth. And replace the soles of the feet on the floor. Draw the right knee in towards your chest. Tone the belly, lengthen the tailbone. Breathe in and out. Can you straighten that right leg towards the ceiling? So the sole of the foot is facing the ceiling. The foot is flexed. Your hand can be behind those upper thighs. Breathe in and out. Good. Inhale. Take your right leg out towards the right side of the mat. Move slowly. Yes. Tone your belly, lengthen your tailbone. That right leg is not coming down to the floor. You're supporting it with your right hand. Slide your left foot forward on the mat. So your left leg is straight, right leg is out to the side of the mat. Make sure your hips are even. You have a natural curve in your low back. Supta Padangusthasana. Just breathe in and out. Letting your inner thighs open. That lower leg is straight. Toes are facing the ceiling. The knee is facing the ceiling. Your foot is flexed. Breathe in energy through the crown of your head. And let that energy expand through the soles of both feet. Draw your right leg back in towards the midline. Grab a hold of the outer edge of the shin with your left hand. Right hand comes to the side of the mat. You're going to keep both sitting bones on the ground, but you're going to slightly cross your right leg over towards the left sitting bone. So it doesn't cross too far over. You should feel a stretch in the outer edge of your leg. That's your IT band. Say hello. Let it open up. Breathe in and out. Reactivating the waves of breath coming from the crown of your head down to the sole of your feet. Just opening up that sense of realization. Bring that right leg back to the center. Bend both knees, soles of the feet on the floor. You can draw both knees in again. Just give a good massage to your low back, your sacrum. And we're going to repeat that on the other side. Soles of both feet on the floor. Knees are bent. Draw your left knee in towards your chest. You can take your hands to the front of that shin. Just draw the knee in a little bit deeper. Tone the belly, lengthen the tailbone. Even send that pubic bone towards the front of the mat. Yeah, so you're getting a little bit of a natural curve in the low back. Tone the belly, lengthen the tailbone. Straighten that left leg, foot is flexed. Sole of the foot reaching towards the ceiling. It's in line with your body. You can interlace your hands behind that upper thigh. Breathe in and out, just let it stretch. If your chin is starting to tilt towards the ceiling, can you retract your chin in a little bit, being the back of your skull to the mat? See a little bit of a deeper stretch. Good. Bring that left leg out towards the left side of the mat, supporting the leg with the left arm. Tone your belly, lengthen your tailbone. Slide the right leg forward on the mat. Knee is facing the ceiling, foot is flexed, toes are facing the ceiling. Tone the belly, lengthen the tailbone. Feel the stretch out of the inner thighs and reactivate your breathing. Waves of breath going wide from the crown of the head out through the soles of both feet. 2 more deep breaths. Going slow, being mindful. Then bring that left leg back up towards the midline. Shift your right hand to the outside of that left shin. Left hand comes down to the mat. You slightly cross that left thigh over top the right thigh. Not too far, just to the point where you're feeling a stretch out of the outer edge of that leg. That's your IT band. Both hips are on the ground. They're rooted down. Your belly is toned. Chin is retracted. Breath is active. Bring that leg back to the center. Bend both knees, soles of the feet on the floor. Take 1 more stretch for your low back. Breathing in and out. And then when you're ready, please roll to your side. Set a blanket out for your knees and please come into a table position. Finding a neutral position of your spine. Knees are on that blanket so that you have a good cushion for yourself. Make sure you have plenty of space between your hands and your knees. Tuck your toes under in the back. Make sure your knees disappear behind your upper thighs. Retract your shoulder blades. Draw them together. Tone your belly. Lengthen your tailbone. And we begin with cat-cow position. So as you inhale, you release your belly. Lift your sitting bones and your collarbones. And as you exhale, move in the opposite direction. Take a few rounds of cat-cow pose. Add up your breath. Go slow. Noticing your movement patterns. If you have a habit of allowing your head to lead, maybe today, let your heart lead. Inhaling in and out. Come back to a neutral table position. We're going to flow again, but this time we're going to add up child's pose. So we're going to take a cow pose. Then we're going to move into cat pose. We're going to untuck our toes, shift our hips back toward our heels for child's pose. Then we're going to come all the way back up, repeating cow, cat, child's. Do that a few rounds at your own pace. Go slow, noticing your moving patterns, noticing whether you're using the breath, moving with the breath. Good. Beautiful. When you're ready, please come back to a table position. You can turn your right palm up with the fingers facing you to get a stretch out of the forearms. Release that. You can turn the left palm up, get a stretch out of those forearms. Come back to your table position. And this time, you're going to take that right knee and you're going to keep the foot at a 90-degree angle, but you're going to lift the foot with a flex foot towards the ceiling and then bring it back in towards the mat and lift it again. Tone the belly, lengthen the tailbone, and begin moving that leg from the top of the hip bone. So the knee stays static, the 90-degree angle between the foot and the knee. The leg is moving from the hip bones. Release that. Switch sides. If it's too much for you on your hands and knees, you can come down to your forearms. So you can use the same movement on your opposite leg with your forearms on the ground. Tone your belly, lengthen your tailbone. Back of the skull is back of the neck is long. Come back to table position. Stretch out your forearms again if you need to. And this time we're going to keep those legs in the same position just like we did before, but instead of moving the leg up and back, we're going to move it out to the side and then in towards the midline. So when you're ready, you come to your neutral position. You find your neutral position of your spine and you inhale that leg out to the side in fire hydrant position, and you exhale and you bring it in towards the midline. And then you move through an opening and closing of that hip at your own pace, going slow, noticing the pattern of your movement, noticing whether that knee starts to draw in towards the hands, or can you keep it back behind you in line with the opposite knee? Release that down. Take a stretch out of the forearms if you need it, or come down, or stretch out of the forearms, or come down to your forearms. Switch sides, taking that opening and closing fire hydrant position on the left leg. Good. Come on back to the center. We're going to add that together. So as you come to the center, you're going to lift your right foot towards the ceiling. Sole of the foot faces the ceiling. Bring it back in towards the midline. Take it out to the right side of the mat. Bring it in towards the midline. Up towards the ceiling. Back in. Out to the side. Back in last time. Up. And in. Out. And in. Release it down, stretch those forearms out if you need it. We're almost finished on hands and knees. Breathe. Switch sides, moving that left leg. Sole of foot moves towards the ceiling and then back down, out to the side and in, up and down, out and in. A couple more times at your own pace, noticing your thoughts, the pattern of your breathing, the pattern of your movement. Come on back to the center. Stretch those forearms out. We're going to move through that motion one last time. Only this time as we move through it, we're going to start creating circles with our knees. So you're going to draw really large circles with those knees, moving up, out, and then switch direction of the circle. Good for opening up the hips. Release that down, switch sides, drawing circles with your knee on your left side, first in one direction, and then the other. And when you're ready, please walk your hands back towards your knees. You can come up onto your knees, toes tucked under the back. Shake your hands out. Maybe interlace your fingers. Stretch the palms forward. Stretch out the upper back. Good. Shake them out again. Interlace them behind you with your right thumb on top. Elbows squeeze back behind you. Shoulder blades, upper arms externally rotated. Toe in the belly, lengthen the tailbone. Stretch those arms behind you. Good. Hands to your hip creases, shoulders up, back, and broaden. Inhale, lengthen through the collarbones, the heart space. Squeeze your buttocks muscles together, hinge back just a little bit. And then come forward. Couple more times. Inhale, squeeze your buttocks muscles together, hinge back. Hold, breathe. Come on back to the center. Finding your calm. One more time. Tone the belly, lengthen the tailbone, hinge back. Back of the skull is back of the neck is long. Breathe in and out. Holding. Come on back to the center. Excellent. Inhale, hinge on back, squeezing your buttocks together. Can you release your fingertips down towards your heels? And can you press your hip bones towards the front of the room, opening your heart space for camel pose? Some of you may need to be here with your hands on your hip creases. This is a legit camel pose as well. Breathe in and out. Come on back to the center. Take a child's pose. Cross your forearms your second favorite way. Relax your forehead on top of your stacked forearms. Deep breaths in and out, especially through that lower back. Breathing in and out. Good. Please come on back to the center. One last time for camel pose. Coming up onto your knees. Toes tucked under the back. They're about hip width apart. Inner thighs in and back. Tone your belly, lengthen your tailbone, squeeze your buttocks, hinge on back. Activate your breathing. Can you begin to lift your heart space, broaden your collarbones, maybe press your hip bones towards the front of the room, growing longer through the crown of the head, keeping support in the back of the skull, releasing those fingertips down towards the heels, if that's available to you today. If it's not, you notice your sacred vessel and you treat it with extra attention and care. Please come back to the midline. Take another child's pose. Crossing your forearms your second favorite way. Please lift your torso. Walk yourself forward. Take your heels on top of your blanket. Feet are wide. I'd like to bend your knees, coming all the way down into Malasana, field hand pose. Your feet are both facing forward. They are not turned out. If you need to turn them out a little bit, you can. But you're working towards getting both heels rooted to the ground. Your heart space lifted, your collarbones wide. Breathe in and out. Then allow yourself to sit all the way down on the blankets. I know you thought I forgot foot massage, but I didn't. Bring your feet out in front of you, shake them out. Take your right leg over top of that left leg. Rub through the sole of the foot, front to back, back to front. Good, and release your fingers in between the toes, massage the toes, the mounds of the feet, circle the ankle first in one direction. Going slow, circle in the other direction. Come on back to the center, shake that foot out. Come to a place of stillness, spread the fingers, spread the toes, keep those toes spread as you release the hands, stretch the top of the foot towards the back of the room. And flex it, going the opposite direction. Rub through the sole of the foot, twist and pull each toe. Make a fist and gently tap the sole of the foot. And then give it a good clap. Release that, grab a hold of the ankle, shake out the foot. Grab a hold of the outer edge of the foot, hug the shin in, open your hip bone, your sitting bones. Release that down, please switch sides, bring the head of the femur back into the hip bone, cross the left leg over top the right thigh, rub through the sole of the foot, the heels, the mounds, back to front, front to back. Paying attention to your toes, interlace your fingers in between the toes, massage the toes, the mounds of the feet, circle the ankle. Circle in the opposite direction. Come on back to the center, shake the foot out. Pause, spread the fingers, spread the toes, keep those toes spread as you peel the hand away. Stretch the top of the foot. Flex it. Release that, twist and pull each toe. Give the entire sole of the foot tension again. Grab a hold of the big toe mound, little toe mound, separate the top of the foot apart, give it a good wiggle. Release that, tap the sole of the foot. Then clap it. Give it a good paddle. Release that, grab a hold of the ankle, shake it out. Grab a hold of the outer edge of the foot, hug the shin in, open up those sitting bones. Release that leg out in front of you, bring the head of the femur back into the hip socket. And since I forgot to stretch the top of your foot on the other side, can you please cross your right leg over one more time? Grab a hold of the big toe mound, little toe mound, separate the foot apart, give it a good wiggle, and release that. Please come on back to the center. You can turn around, you can remove the blanket, but have it nearby. I'd like you to come into a downward facing dog pose. When you found your downward facing dog, breathe. Can you inhale and lift that right leg off the mat so the upper thigh is parallel to the floor? Reach it all the way back. Maybe lift the thigh a little bit higher. Bend the knee, bring it forward in between the hands. For a lunge pose, spin that back heel down to the mat. Good. Can you take both hands to the inside of that front foot? You come up on a block on your right hand if you need it, or you can plant the hand, or you can be up on your fingertips. I'd like you to have energy in that right hand, pressing the right elbow into the right knee. Can you draw your right chest wall out towards the front of the mat? Energy in that back leg. Can you inhale that top arm overhead, left arm reaching to infinity, side angle pose. Activate your breathing from the crown of the head down to the soles of the feet, creating those waves of breath. If it's available, you can turn your gaze to look up at the inner eye of the top elbow. When you're ready, please release that top hand, both hands coming down to the inside of that front leg. Lift the back heel. Good. You can release that back knee down to the mat. Have a blanket underneath your knee. You can have your hands threaded around both sides of that front feet. They can be on blocks if you need them. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, scoop and lunge, getting a stretch out of that hip flexor. Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Breathe in and out. Walk your hands to the upper thighs. Inhale, lengthen through the torso, lift the torso. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, scoop and lunge, toes tucked under in the back. You can stay here, or you can reach those arms overhead, shoulders away from the ears. Interlace your hands behind the skull, collarbones wide, heart space is lifted, scoop and lunge, breathe. Waves of breath from the crown of the head to the soles of the feet. Anjaneyasana, wide collarbones, heart space lifted. Hinge your torso forward, release your hands to either side of that front foot, but keep the knee on the floor. Lift that back foot off the floor. Plant your left hand, reach your right hand around, grab a hold of that foot, draw it in towards your upper thigh. First, stretch out of the quad, breathing in and out. Waves of breath. Gently, gently, with control, release that back foot back down to the mat. Plant your hands on either side of the front foot, step back to downward facing dog. We repeat that all on the opposite side. Find your downward facing dog. Lift your left leg off the mat, take the left thigh parallel to the floor, reach it out to infinity towards the back of the room. When it can go no further, lift that left thigh a little bit higher. Hip is closed, bend the knee, bring it forward in between the hands, planting the foot for a low lunge. Release that back knee down to the mat. Maybe wiggle the toes back, the knees back a little bit more, finding your Anjaneyasana. Mindful of the front knee, making sure it's above the ankle or just behind it. It is not jutting forward towards the toes. Squeezing your inner thighs together. Breathing in and out. Can you walk both hands inside of that front leg now? Lift that back foot off the mat, spin the heel down. Sorry, back heel off the mat, spin the heel down. Lift your torso. Open your left chest wall towards the front of the room. Right chest wall begins to open up towards the sky. You can reach that right arm overhead, reaching to infinity, side angle pose. Use your breathing, deep breaths. Activate your energy from the toes to the fingers. Activate your breath from the crown of the head to the toes. 2 more deep breaths, then release that top hand, spin the back heel up, release the foot down to the mat, the heel down, the knee down to the mat. Breathe. Hands to the upper thigh, lift the torso. Inhale, lift the crown of the head. Exhale, scoop and lunge, tone the belly, lengthen the tailbone. You can stay here. You can release those arms overhead, shoulders away from the ears, collarbones wide. Interlace your hands behind your skull, your second favorite way. Rest the back of the skull into your hands. Open the collarbones and the heart space. Tone the belly, lengthen the tailbone, scoop and lunge. Couple deep breaths, letting that hip flexor open up. Come on back to the center. Plant those hands on either side of that front foot. Good. You're going to plant your right hand down on the block or on the mat. Lift that back knee off, back foot off the mat. Take your left hand, reach it around to grab a hold of that right foot. Draw the heel in towards the upper thigh. For a quad stretch. Breathing. Coming back to the mat. With control, release that hand from the foot, release the foot down. Come on back to the center. Breathe in and out. Plant those hands on either side of the front foot. Lift the back knee. Step back into downward facing dog. And you can move through a flow. You can stay in downward facing dog, or you can take a child's pose. What do you need now? Take a few breaths in and out. When you're ready, please meet me in child's pose, the extended version, with your hands reaching forward in the front of the mat. Walk the fingertips forward, come up on spider fingers, lift those shoulders, upper arms, breathe. Breathing from the crown of the head out through the soles of the feet. Can you use your 3-part breathing even here? And when you're ready, walk your hands back towards your knees. Please come down to a seated position on your mat. Torso's lifted, soles of the feet on the floor. You're going to take your, I'm mirroring you, so you're going to take your right ankle and draw it in towards your left hip. And then cross your left thigh over top of the right thigh. Open both feet out for cow face legs pose. Those thighs are resting one on top of the other. Feet are flexed. Fingertips next to the hips. Lift through the heart space. Tone the belly. Lengthen the tailbone. Collarbones wide. Shake your head. Back of the skull is long, relaxed. Your face is relaxed. Can you inhale, lengthen, exhale, hinge forward just a tiny bit, starting to get a stretch out of the glute muscles. Retract your chin in a little bit. Bring the torso back to the center, plant the right hand, bring the left arm overhead, shoulder away from the ear. Take a side stretch. Come on back to the center, switch sides. Side stretching the other way. Come on back to the center, both arms overhead. Take your right hand to the outside of that top hip for a twist. Inhaling, arms overhead, exhaling, counter twist. Whichever way you went, twist the opposite direction. Noticing how this feels in your legs, your IT band, your hips. Come on back to the center. We're going to switch sides, so whichever leg is on top is going to be underneath. If you'd like, you can join me leaning forward, lifting the hips, and taking a corkscrew motion to sit back down. This time your opposite leg is on top. You may have to shift yourself so that one hip may want to be lifted off the mat. So you may have to shift to get both hips firmly rooted on the mat. Your upper thighs drawing together, knees closing, feet are flexed. Breathe in and out. Inhale, open the collarbones, the heart space. Open the waves of breath. Exhale, hinge forward just a little bit, noticing how it feels different on this side is not to judge. You are still a sacred vessel. Some sides need extra care and attention, even with sacred vessels. Lift the torso, come on back to the center. Plant the right hand, left arm comes overhead, reaches to the side for a side stretch. Shoulder away from the ear, retract that chin in. If you want to work on your neck mobility, you can turn your nose to look up at the eye of that top elbow. Come on back to the center, switch sides, taking a stretch out of the other side. Sweeping that arm back to the center, inhale, both arms overhead. Twist, first in one direction. Breathing in and out. Twisting out the notion that you are not sacred, you are not divine, you are indeed. Inhaling back to center, exhaling, counter twisting the other way. Breathing in and out. Inhaling everything back to the center, leaning back, uncrossing those legs gently, gently. Open them out. Allow yourself windshield wiper. And please turn around. And I would like you to untuck your toes, making sure all 5 toenails are on the mat. Your knees are about hip distance apart. Your feet are parallel to your knees, so they're not opened out wider or more narrow. All 5 toenails on the ground, including your baby toes. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, can you sit back towards your calves and your heels? Tone your belly, lengthen your tailbone. Breathe in and out. Supta Virasana. Actually, this is Virasana. You can stay here, or if you need a deeper stretch, you can continue walking your hands back and coming down on your forearms, or laying all the way down. Heart space lifted, collarbones lifted. Knees is still in contact with the earth. All 5 toenails active. Gently, gently, if you're in Supta Virasana, please come on back up to a seated position. Hinge forward. Everybody comes into table position. With care, please tuck your toes under. And with extra care, please come up into dog pose. You can stay here, or you can plant your forearms down on the mat for dolphin pose. If you're in dolphin pose, please come back to downward facing dog pose. Walk the hands back towards the feet. Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Inhale, hands to the hip creases. Lift from the heart space, root to rise. We're going to try crow pose. So for some people, crow pose is a scary position. If you would like, you can try crow pose from a set of blocks. Have a blanket in front of your mat. If you're trying crow pose from blocks, you're going to stand on top of your blocks, bend your knees, lift your heels, plant your hands in front of you on the mat, and you're going to bend those elbows so your knees are hugging the outsides of your forearms. You're going to begin to lift your hips towards the front of the room as you hinge forward, squeezing your knees in towards the midline, letting them rest on that shelf of your arms. And then releasing down. Trying crow pose at your own pace, allowing yourself to be the sacred vessel that you are. Breathing in and out. Good. Letting your thoughts be kind to the sacred vessel that you are. And if you've tried crow pose, please come back to child's pose. Breathing in and out for a few moments in child's pose, arms yogi's choice. You can have your palms stacked, your forearms stacked, or you can take extended child's pose. Please walk your hands back towards your knees, lift your torso. I would like you to have your knees up on a blanket if you can this time. Toes are going to be tucked under in the back. We're going to take that Shiva Linga Mudra that we did at the beginning of class. So your left palm is going to face up towards the ceiling. It's going to come to the place where your sternum ends. You know, get this with your right hand, thumb is facing towards the ceiling. It's going to rest on top of that left palm. Press the palm into the hand into the palm, toes tucked under in the back. Send your hips back towards your heels with toes tucked under. This can be a deep stretch for your toes. So be gentle with yourself, keeping energy in the hands, in the quads. And when you've had enough, you come back to a kneeling position. You're going to turn around and you're going to sit in Sukhasana or Siddhasana for a few moments. Hands to your upper thighs, shoulders up, back, and broaden. Tone your belly, lengthen your tailbone. Tilt your chin, close your eyes, or soften your gaze. We're going to do a couple rounds of Nadi Shodhana just with our breathing, without the use of the hands. So take a deep inhale in through both nostrils. Exhale through both nostrils. Inhale through both nostrils again. Exhale through both nostrils. Inhale only through the right nostril in your mind's eye. Exhale only through the left nostril. Inhale through the left. Exhale through the right. Inhale right. Exhale left. Inhale left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Exhale left. Last time, inhale left. Exhale right. Return to your normal free-flowing breath. You can stay in a seated position for 1,000-petaled lotus meditation, or you can come to a supine position. If you'd like that to be Shavasana, you can do that, but the invitation is stay awake for this meditation. You will get a short Shavasana at the end of the meditation. Please find a comfortable seated or supine position for yourself, yogi's choice. And once you've settled, concentrate on the inhale entering your body from the base of your spine. Let that inhale expand the awareness of your pelvis. Exhale and release any tension that might be held in the pelvis, the hip flexors, or the glutes. Inhale in again from the base of the spine up into your belly. Exhale and release any tension from the belly and the low back. Inhale from the base of the spine up into the heart cavity. Exhale and release any tension around your chest, shoulders, and upper back. Inhale from the base of the spine up into your throat. Exhale and release any tension from your neck, your jaw, even your tongue. Inhale from the base of your spine up into the head, just behind your eyebrows. Exhale and release any tension from your forehead and your scalp. Inhale from the base of the spine all the way up to the crown of your head and slightly higher. Exhale all the way down to the base of the spine. Continue breathing up and down the entire length of your spine. As you continue breathing, visualize a luminous lotus suspended above you. You may sense its petals continuously opening above the crown of your head or undulating in the breeze of your breath. Concentrate on the lotus as the merging of your inhale and exhale. Inhale as if the lotus were drawing life force from the earth beneath you. Exhale any scent or color or texture that may make its presence known to you. Allow your breath to be soft, rhythmic. By letting go of effort, you become receptive to the creative and subtle energies, the merging of the masculine and the feminine. Allow yourself to experience yourself as the container of this merging energy. Enjoy a few rounds of natural breathing, even allowing yourself to exhale through an open mouth. If you're in a seated position, please gently release yourself down to Shavasana. With as little effort as possible, breathing in and out. Take a deep inhale in and exhale, chanting Om in your mind's eye. And then inhale in again and chant Om once for you. And inhale and chant Om once for the divine. And inhale in again and chant Om once for the union of you and the divine. As it feels good to you, please draw energy back into your body, going slow, taking your time. Maybe starting with the breath, moving your sacred vessel in a way that serves you. Allow it to feel good for you without disturbing your sense of calm. Maybe bringing small movements to your body, your fingers, your toes, your wrists, your ankles. Maybe moving your head from side to side, or even gently stretching your arms overhead and taking a delicious stretch before you bend your knees and roll over to your side, gazing into your brilliant heart space. Pause there, honoring the sacred being that you are and thanking yourself for unrolling your mat and coming to your yoga practice today. And when you're ready, please Continue bending your knees, roll over to that same side. Use the strength of your hands to come back to a seated position, sitting in Sukhasana or Siddhasana, maybe crossing your legs, your second favorite way. Sit well, fine-tuning the body as only you can do. Take your hands together in front of your heart space into prayer pose, Anjali Mudra. Take a few deep breaths in and out. The invitation as you take your yoga practice off your mat and out into the world is see if you can create a sacred space in your life. Maybe a small section of your world devoted to quiet and comfort where you won't be disturbed. Make it meaningful for you and maybe keep it simple. And then allow yourself time to relax in that space on a regular basis. Namaste. It's been great to be in front of you all. Have a wonderful rest of your class.
Thank you.